We're going to go ahead and start because it's a little bit after 12 and I know a lot of people need to be back at 1 o'clock. I'm Nancy Cochran. I am the newly elected chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And so anyway, we're going to start, and the first thing I want to talk about is our Shop Local campaign, which is going to be started pretty much. Some of the things are going to be handed out today, and they are things to put into your window to encourage people to shop local, and they look like this. And in case, let's see who can guess what the picture in the background actually is. So anyway, our little logo says, oh, I forgot what it says. It says, ghost towns happen when you don't shop local. And what is the picture in the background? The haunted hospital. And I want you to know that the haunted hospital has brought in a lot of money for the Chamber, the Downtown Association, and has really brought a lot of people to town from as far away as Florida, Canada, Texas, everything. It was just amazing how much that took off. And if you didn't know, we did have some people from LA that came up and spent a couple of days visiting the ghosties up there. And if you go to Live Wi-Fi TV on YouTube, you can see the inside of the haunted hospital. The ghosts we encountered, I don't think were the ones that they encountered.
Clearly they were a TV show.
Yeah, yeah. But if you haven't got to go in, it gives you an idea of the state of the facility. It's seen a lot of it's falling apart because of, you know, there was water damage and it needs new roof and whatever.
Kincaid always called it deferred maintenance.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So anyway, this is how we kind of came up with our little logo and stuff. And people, I don't know if you want to be known as a ghost town, but it has brought a lot of business to town, so we really can't complain. Another thing we have coming up is we have March Madness with the basketball games. And what we would like to do for downtown is we have little coupons or little
Cards. I'll actually pass them around so you guys can look at them.
and what they are, they're scratch cards.
Pass them around and see
And when
what
somebody
kind of
comes
looks
to your business or figure out what works for your business. Like I am the Hen House Chicks. So if somebody buys something, they get a scratch card. And they scratch it. If they get 3 basketballs, they get entered into a weekly drawing. Now, people can volunteer stuff to go in a drawing. We'll have bags. And you can put like a coupon in it. You could actually put an item in it. Excuse me. But anyway, every week we'll have a drawing. Like, it was very interesting when we did the passports. You learn by trial and error, and it is just a riot. Empire Disposal, bless their hearts, came up and were very disappointed that they weren't included. And we kind of went, okay, well, you don't really sell anything. And they said, well, we would have given them stamped them if they'd paid their bill. Wow. Never thought about that. So let's say Kay does a one and she says, if you open an account, if you, I don't know, pay your credit card bill. Sorry, you cough.
Do you need some water, Nan?
Buy a house, that's right.
Buy a house. I'd give you guys some. I'll give all you guys.
We'll give you 3 stamps. Yeah, you get
Buy a house, we get like a whole stack of cards.
Worth $5.
And so Val, you might be able to answer, but
Yeah.
but when you did the passports, did everybody turn them in as they got them, or did they all come in at once?
It depended. Some people brought them in daily as soon as they got them done. Some ladies brought in 15 at a time, right before the end. I had people from Moscow mail them in, and they told me that they did all their shopping in Colfax just because they wanted a chance to win. So I had about 10 ladies from Moscow that all mailed them in together. So,
So then
that
giving
was-
out awards weekly, you
yeah, I
want
think
people
weekly
to.
will be better, so yeah, just, and if you can give them to the business owners, or you can bring them down to the chamber. Either way, just tell me if you have them, I'll come and grab them from you, to get the people into the weekly drawings. So yeah, so we're just trying to think of, fun ways to get people involved, to get people shopping locally, and to go along with the Shop Local campaign. So, if you, yeah.
So we want to get involved and we're not already, we just come to you to talk about it?
Yes.
then? Like, okay.
Yeah, come to us and say, and tell me how you can get
Because it would
involved.
be cool, like, if someone started a new Relay for Life team, they got.
Yes,
can't
no,
really-
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can give you cards. So any way you can think of how your business or company can get involved, let us know, we'll give you the cards. So, and I just have to tell you, Larkin got to experience this today. I have some of the best volunteers ever. I have a group of retired ladies who are at the Perkins house right now, and they put the scratch stickers on 5,000 cards today.
Oh, wow.
There were 5 ladies down there, and they're having the best time of their life right now. And I left them down at the Perkins house. I'm sure they were fine. Or the Perkins house was fine. But it is, so I got a good group. I have 6 of them down there right now, and they're doing a great job. So,
Are you doing any
They-
advertising outside of Colfax for the program?
so yeah, for these,
Mhm.
yeah. So we just went to a meeting and we told all of the other groups about what we're doing because they love the passport idea. And so I think we have a trade membership with the radio, and so they're going to promote this for us. And then we'll probably do Lewiston and Pullman is what I would guess that we would show that we're doing this, because they all picked up on the passport thing too and did stories on it. So, and since we're way far ahead, they're gonna do a big story in the Gazette for us, and then we'll do those other ones too. And then they're gonna do stories. I know the radio is gonna do a story for us about the Shop Local campaign. So, yeah, we're gonna do all of those. The other thing we're going to do as a chamber is Kim DeHart has volunteered her building, the front of her building, and this is really going to help the nonprofit groups. We have quite a few nonprofit groups that, like you, like Relay for Life, that have signed up to be chamber members, and then also members who aren't on Main Street necessarily. She's offered her window, and we can set up, we're going to pick a business of the month, and you can set up your display in her window. Now, her window's great because it's right on Main Street, it's right next to the Hideout, and they're huge windows. So we're going to pick that starting next month, that we'll pick a business, like the library might be down there, and you can do books or whatever. And so we're going to look through our list and see people who maybe don't get as much publicity as other businesses do. And we might be calling you and saying, hey, would you guys set up a display in Kim's building? I have a key to her building, and so I can work around whatever works for you guys to get you in there and set up, and you'll be set up there in there for the whole month. So that's kind of another promotional thing that we're going to try, because Columbia Bank does it, and they do, you know, but this is great because it's right in that front window. So that's another thing that we're going to start and try and see how it works out, but I think it'll be really good for some of the people who are on Main Street.
I'm representing the levy committee. I don't chair the levy committee because it's not allowable for me to do so. But they did give me the assignment to come out into the Colfax community and to share with you a little bit about the maintenance and operation levy that you have seen come out. Hopefully you've received it by mail on Saturday, and you've already marked the appropriate box and have mailed it in. So what I'd like to do is just talk to you a little bit about the maintenance and operation levy of the Colfax School District. And at any time as I'm talking, if you have a question, please just interrupt and ask your question so I can answer it right there. I'm not shy about that, and I hope you're not either.
Do you want me to click that for you? I can.
If you'd like to do that, sure. So go ahead and give us a click. So why is it called a replacement levy? You hear this every time. It's because we're not asking for anything dramatically more. It's replacing a levy that is expiring. And the levies was approved at the end of the 2016 year. So we run a 2-year levy. School districts are allowed to run a 1, 2, 3, or 4-year levy. We opted to do a 2-year levy because of what's going on in Olympia right now with educational legislation. We need to allow some of that process to take place to see what the new rules may be when it comes to levies. Yep. So what do levy funds pay for? Go ahead and click to the next page. Most of you probably know. You know that there's a thing called McCleary. You've heard of McCleary, the lawsuit with the state. The legislature is being fined by the Supreme Court $100,000 until they get their act together and pass a budget that fully funds education throughout the state. The problem is that's probably a $3, $4, $5, $6 billion prospect that the state doesn't have that money, and so they've been given an amount of time to come up and to fully fund education because it's a constitutional mandate in the state of Washington. And so because they don't fully fund education, the school district has to come up with the money to purchase textbooks and curriculum. That comes through the levy. All of our extracurricular and co-curricular activities, athletics, knowledge bowl, choir, jazz band, all those things that you see, the extras that happen within the Colfax School District, come from the local tax base. Paying for the travel for fuel and drivers when we're sending our athletic teams, our band and jazz band, we just send them to Pullman, so that all that money comes through levy. Technology and equipment. So what you see in the classrooms, if we want to upgrade technology, we are dependent upon the levy to be able to do that. We are not given money from the state to do that. Our food service program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as I'll show you the budget page. But we try to keep our food service program pretty competitive and low for all kids. So sometimes we don't get there and stay in the black. So when we go into the red, that is levy dollars that make up the difference. Coaches, advisors, administrators, that's really curious in the state of Washington, is that the teachers are pretty much fully funded basic education by the state. Administrators, they only give a fraction of the cost for administrative salaries, principals, superintendents, and so forth and so on. So to get it to a livable wage, because really it's about $30,000 or $40,000 is all they contribute to a building principal and a superintendent. And so the rest of that is made up by levies. Additional instructional staff. So right now, if we wanted to say we wanted to lower class sizes for kids who need specific help for reading, the state will not fund that. That's our decision locally to do that, so locally you will pay for that. And then of course there's MSOCs, as they call them now, which the heat, lights, and utilities are not paid by the state. That comes through, a portion of it is paid by the state, the rest is paid by the school district. So the last vote that Colfax did was back in 2014, in which they approved a 2-year levy. And this is what the levy looked like. So you can see that the estimated tax rate comes from the county. They tell us, here's what we believe, and that's based on property values within the Colfax School District. Not just Colfax itself, but the district as a whole. Here are the property values. And so the last time it was estimated that the tax rate would be $3.47 per thousand, and it ended up being $3.06 per thousand. And so they haven't closed out 2016 yet. You can see it's down about $3.02 a thousand for that 1.2 million levy. What we are proposing is for 2017 is a 1,275,000. We estimate the tax rate at $3.14. Again, we believe that that's going to go down, and that comes from the assessed land value again, that for the property value that will come out. We did this on a pretty conservative growth rate of about a 1.5% growth rate of property value. What's really interesting with Colfax, just during the Great Recession, Colfax only dipped below that assessed value of increase by about 0.25% was its lowest, where the rest of the state was significantly lower. You saw on the west side where people were upside down in their homes, couldn't get out from underneath it. Then Colfax didn't really see that. Colfax actually has seen growth rates 7 and 12% at times of what that assessed value will be. So when that assessed value goes up, that tax rate goes down. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So under that, with that $3.14 per levy rate per thousand, you can see that at a $150,000 home, the cost per year is $471. This is not new. And that's really what we want to emphasize. That's why it's a replacement levy. So we're not going to generate an extra $471 of taxes to our Colfax patrons. There's going to be depending on what that estimated rate goes, it could be just a couple dollars, maybe $10 or so. And so really that cost per year, we really strive to keep that right where it has always been. So levy equalization. So we hear, have you heard about LEA levy equalization? It's kind of complicated. So we wanted to spend some time to share with you a little bit about what LEA is. It's really the Robin Hood program. It's where you have districts or communities that have great land value, property value is super high, and so they can just leverage a little bit per thousand and generate a lot of taxable income. Property poor districts, we really have to jack up that cost per thousand to even compete or to equal what they receive. And so the LEA is a program in which the state with property poor, you get income from the state to kind of close that gap, to allow it to be a little bit more equitable. Okay? So let me explain that just a little bit more. So the local effort assistance eases the discrepancy between property poor and property rich. The state pays that difference. So the state will give the levy equalization dollars up to 14% of the district basic education allowance. That's what the BEA is. That's what comes to us from the state. So the equalization plus the levy equals 28% of our funding that can come in. That's the max amount. We do not leverage 28% in Colfax. We're below 24%. So here's just a little graphic for you. So go ahead and hit that, and we'll see. There's a one more hit there. So we can see that we're going to ask for an assessed value. Here's the assessed value for these communities. So we see the estate town, their property rate is, their assessed value is high. The little villa town, not so much. One more click. So we're going to ask, they're asking for a levy rate that's pretty comparable. Here's what we want to be able to raise for our communities. Next. And so the estate town only has to charge $1 per thousand, and the little villa town is charged with $5 per thousand. There's a big discrepancy with that. So if we hit the next button, please, you can see that in the big estate town, if you have a $600,000 home, you're only going to pay $600 in taxes for your levy rate. Where this little villa town, to get up to where they are, they're going to pay almost twice the amount. So can you see how it's a big gap there? Okay, so if we then bring in LEA, so we know we got $1 per thousand for the estate, $5 per thousand for the villa. Go ahead and click, and this is where LEA then comes in, and they make the difference at the statewide average. So the average rate we know of the estate town, the villa, is $3,000, so or $3 per thousand. So we know 5 plus 1 is 6. You divide by 2. There's your average of 3. Okay. Go to the next. So the difference of villa town, the state average, is then $2 from that average. So then the villa will receive $2 per thousand extra of assessed value, and that brings that closer together. So that gap is lessened. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
Is there still a lot of talk in Olympia about doing away with LEA?
There is. As the legislature talks about fully funding education, the talk is that education is fully funded on the back of local taxpayers. And so to make it a statewide system, if they do that, they want to limit what can be asked for then at the local. So it's a pretty complicated issue in there. There's things called ghost revenue, to where they leave revenue in the formula that's really no longer there, but if they would have taken it out, During the Great Recession, schools would have had to cut even more, so they left it in the formula. So they're talking about now pulling that out. They're talking about reducing LEA. There's legislation out there right now to drop it a 0.5% every year, kind of a thing, until it's gone. So what it shows for us in Colfax, as you can see, we have been losing LEA dollars for several years now. And so you can see 13, 14, and 15, we've been giving up almost, I mean, it's over $120,000 that we have lost. So when we lose that, and why are we losing that? Not because of the legislature, it's because Colfax's land value, the property value, has been increasing. Remember that rate where I said we didn't show really as much of a decline as the rest of the state? We stayed in an incline with that. And so the property rich districts, really that I-5 corridor, they were reducing, right? They were losing that value. Ours maintained or increased. So that gap was just closing for us. And so when that is, then we're not eligible for as much LEA. So over these years, we have lost over $120,000 that the district has to make up through the levy dollars from the tax base. So we had one year where we received $5,000 more, but then this is what is estimated for us to lose just about another $90,000. That again, that comes from the state to levy equalization. We lose that. It now becomes our responsibility to carry that on our own. Okay, so you can see the drop though in 1920, the estimate, we're pretty much done losing that kind of money. Now this is all estimated. Now if the value of land increases at a higher rate than in Colfax, on the west side, that will go down. We will receive more LEA money here. So for our M&O, it comprises 19% of our district's total budget through this vote. That's significant for us. And so go ahead and click one more time. So we have to pass a levy in order to receive the LEA dollars. And so together, LEA brings in another 2%. So the levy package is 21% of our budget comes from the M&O levy. So here are how funds are spent. So you can see the breakdown of what it takes. The biggest chunk that you see there is $4 million in teaching and learning. That goes into salaries and benefits and things like that. Maintenance and operation is our next to do lights, grounds, any kind of maintenance that is there. And then you can see building administration, central administration, food service, and then transportation. Here's what our revenue. So our state funding comes, most of our revenue, 69% comes from the state. Replacement levy, 19 as we saw. Local, the LEA comes in at 2%. Federal revenue, those are the grants we receive. So when you hear Title I for helping kids to learn to read and who are maybe behind in math, we receive grants for that. That's the federal revenue. Other revenue, that 4%, those are the dollars we take in from the lunch program. So it's just a very, very small piece for us to run that lunch program.
Can you go back one?
Sure.
What
Go
was?
back one.
I don't know what it's called now.
I think you go back. Not that way.
Uh-oh. What is the central admin? What
So
is
that's
that?
district office, all the staff that go into to run the district office. So that would be
So how does
like
that differ from building?
building. So you got building administrators, building secretaries, building the people in the building central office versus the district where it comes to superintendent, bus transportation, maintenance, supervisor, business manager, my secretary Sean Stein, payroll, all that comes in, and those costs. Please believe that's just not all salaries. Right, it's everything that goes in there. Yeah, I wish too, Steve. I look at that, so that would be kind of nice. I don't know that the community would feel that way, but I enjoy that. So great question, thank you. So yeah, so the ballots were mailed out from the courthouse last Friday. We had our community forum up at the high school where we had it in the paper for people to come and see, and the election day is February 9th. So we just encourage you, obviously, to vote your conscience, but to do it quickly. Don't let those lay around the house and then you lose them or whatever. Get them in, and and let your voice be heard. So any questions at all regarding the levy? Yes.
Nice article in the Daily News today about the school's Title I award, I believe it was.
Yes. Yeah.
But nice comments about the community too, so that was really good. Congratulations.
Well, thank
They're
you.
in Houston right now, aren't they?
They flew
My
out to
sister-in-law
Houston this
got-
morning.
My
Yeah.
sister-in-law got to go.
Oh, she got to go and stuff, right, yeah.
Sure and all.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They flew out to Houston. There's 2 schools in the state of Washington that received this. And you have to typically apply for that, to receive that. We didn't apply. OSPI contacted us and said we didn't get a lot of applications, so we went after the data in the state of Washington to see the schools that would qualify, and we saw Colfax in there, and you guys deserve it. So they call us, and we filled out the application after the fact, so that all the paperwork is done in order. That's how Colfax, that's how Jennings Elementary was chosen. Yeah. Great question. Anything else? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, now we have Marshall Doak's here, and he's from SEWEDA. And I don't know if you saw in the paper, there was an article, I don't know, probably about a month ago, about Startup Whitman. And it was about how we can get new businesses in town, and this is the group that can actually help us do that. And we've worked with Marshall for quite a while now, and his group. So he's just going to kind of give an overview of what they do and how he can help us.
Thank you, Val.
Yeah.
So Val asked me to talk about one subject, and so I'll narrow it down to about 5. And try to make it quick.
Put the mic down.
Really? Okay, I'm out of
It's
here.
not working anyway.
Am I feeling the hook already? So the mic's not working at all, you're saying?
Is it going to you?
It's working.
Okay, it's
We're
working.
good. We're good. Yeah.
It's working where it needs to work.
Yeah.
So, just for a point of reference, we've been sitting at the phones for at least 4 years, 5 years now, and nobody's called us to give us money yet. So there must be something extraordinary going along here in Colfax that merits that. So real quickly, my name's Marshall Doak. I'm the Regional Economic Development Director, Executive Director of SEWEDA and the Pugh RTPO. So one's economic development, the other organization's transportation planning, and both of them have an effect here in Colfax and the surrounding areas. So we have a 4-county region that I'm responsible for. The reason I'm here today is that we have a position open in Whitman County for our Whitman County representative for SEWEDA, based out of our Pullman office. And so I'm covering in the meantime. And so I wanted to talk about several programs that we have here going on that do affect you. Just as a side note, I've sent out the position description. We are actively recruiting, and our first review of applicants will be on the 8th of February, and hopefully we'll be able to interview out of that group and name a person and bring them on quickly. So we're really trying to hustle. So that's number 1. Well, actually, number 2, just real quickly, the state of Washington, we've been working on a Fund Local campaign. And as you're looking at Main Street and some of the initiatives that you have, one of the ways that we can overlay and help out is fund local campaigns. The way that they're set up in Washington is that a group of investors, which is a 0% investment on the group part, usually in $50 pieces, throw it all into a pot. A company receives a microloan for a piece of equipment or something to help build their business. They paid 0%. And so they're able to purchase that equipment and get it into use and build their business. There is a transaction fee that a third party manages all the investors and all the payments and whatnot. But it's kind of a cool way for a community to invest in a business. So there are some new novel ways of making microloans that sometimes are just impossible to get out in the commercial area. The third thing I wanted to bring today is we have Coffee with Val here, and the Cup of Joe has started over in Pullman. I did want to point out that on the 3rd, leasing commercial property in the Palouse region is the topic. And so for basic education for commercial leasing, this would be a great program, an informal program, to be able to access that resource. Shelley Bennett of Palouse Commercial Real Estate, and then Judy Cole of the C3 or Crimson Commerce Club, which is the Armory and that's where it'll be in, will be the presenters to talk about commercial real estate. And so it may be beneficial for those businesses that are looking for, in this area, to access some good resources. This is one of the endeavors, education pieces that is in Startup Washington 365. And that's really the reason I was asked to be here. And so let me go ahead and move to that. With the article that was in the paper and conversations with Val, I don't know if it's clear what Startup Washington is, so I'll give you my rendition. And I've been tangential to it to a certain degree as it's been developed. But the Startup Washington initiative started in the Department of Commerce in the state. And the concept is, especially in rural areas, it's so hard to start a business. Receive that support and programming, those little things that keep businesses viable. The failure rate for new businesses, again, is continuing to be atrocious. Starting a business is extremely difficult, as we all know. And your work as economic developers, I'm representing it today, but I've heard more about local economic development here today than I do in many other areas. You get it, and you understand the need to support local businesses. And that type of support is really what the startup program is aimed at, both in general education, such as this program here, and then in specific one-on-one counseling to be available either through the Small Business Development Center, which is really not a novel piece in my book, but there's more availability and connectivity, and then other professionals that are in the communities we can work with as a pool of service providers to provide that one-on-one confidential counseling that really is meaningful to a business. How do I get from where I'm at to where I want to be? And so there are a lot of ways to grow a local business. There are a lot of twists and turns along the way. And so we'll be offering through the Startup Washington program, between the state, Vista Corporation helping, the Palouse Knowledge Corridor, all the community groups, everything all bundled together to provide that support and create that community that says our businesses are important to us. Having our businesses grow are extremely important because it employs our graduates from school. And when I first started years ago in economic development, it was over in Sunnyside, Washington. The business community was extremely strong in that organization, the community-based economic development organization. And I can remember just almost to the point of pounding the table, our children are leaving. This is atrocious. We want our children to stay at home. We want our grandchildren at home. It's vitally important to us that we create the type of community where businesses can build, where people see that their career opportunities lie right inside their own towns. That's what builds communities, and in a business sense, that's what this program and economic development and your efforts are all focused on. And that sense of community and that support is extremely important, so we take our work seriously. And I think that's about as good a description as I can give of the 365 program. It aims both in a broad general educational sense for businesses and in a confidential one-on-one business development sense. And through that process, through these gatherings, we're accepting feedback in terms of what programming do we need to provide, which experts do we need to bring in order to be applicable to situations now. And also, you know that businesses are extremely varied. The needs are always forthcoming. Never two businesses have the exact same need at the same time almost. And so this is a way to try to bridge that, to provide those resources to the point of when it's needed, when a business person realizes, hey, I just really am stuck, my taxes are killing me, or how do I quit paying so much and still make the bankers love me? All those conundrums in life. And so how do I do that with one set of financials is even more tricky. But anyway, so we're trying to tie resources together. And last, I do need to put in a little plug. As a regional economic development person, I'll speak to this over at the next city council meeting on the 1st. But we have a document, it's a planning document called a SEWEDA, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And about this time, that's when you should be yawning. But it's an administrative based document. The gist of that is it's a strategic planning document. And so the county does it, special districts do it, cities do it, port districts do it, and all that information in terms of plans, this is what we want to accomplish this year and in the next 5 years, next 10 years. It's extremely important that those projects and that the conversations happen in a group form, that we can agree these are our priorities, that we want, how we want to build our communities. Once those are documented, when you go out for grant funding, then they're planned projects, and you can point to this saying, we've gone through the process, we're all in agreement, it's not just me saying I have a special interest and I want your money. We've all agreed this is how we want to build our community, and therefore you rate out higher on federal grant applications. So it does have a true applications in life. So I'll take questions. I'm trying to be brief so that we can honor your need to get back to work. But I do want to thank you for inviting me up here, and be happy to come back and talk to you about transportation planning and all the other stuff you'll never see. But it all does apply. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try it again. For those of you who don't understand this, Val is the Unified Director. And she, because you haven't been to a meeting that we've had, she is now the coordinator of the Chamber, the Downtown Association, the Arts Council, and the Historical Preservation. And for what it has done to us is it has given us a tool to understand what all four of those things are doing and to coordinate our efforts together. And just in the short amount of time that she has been here, we've seen a great change in those people knowing what each other is doing. And that has been a great change. We have a lack of communication because we're all busy, and Val has been our communicator. One of the things that you need to know that is coming up is the Beer and Wine Festival, which is in April.
You had him at beer.
I don't think Butch would mind if we had beer at lunch, but you know, then he'd come in too. But it's the what day in?
I don't know.
Is
what
it the
day
third?
Yeah, I think it's the third.
Third
I have
Saturday?
it. She went, yeah.
But anyway, what they do there is, if you've never been, and I had never been until I had to help coordinate it, and I think we're going to have it at the fairgrounds this year because we've outgrown Hillray. The trick is the community building is supposed to be done the 1st of April, and hopefully that is true. You know, we haven't, I don't know that we've coordinated it with them yet, but we're hoping to move it out there. It's a great time. We sell tables. We also ask businesses to donate silent auction items and large auction items. It is a great time, and and Sean McAdams, he coordinates all the beer and wine and all that good stuff, and then several of us coordinate other parts of it. So that's another thing that's coming up that the Chamber's doing. That's a big money maker for us, so that we can buy the tickets to bring people to your businesses, that we can do the passports, that we can do functions. Our job is to bring business to town. Now, the trick is we're trying to bring them to town. You've got to figure out how to do something to entice them into your store. And I can say that because I have a store I'm trying to entice them in. So, we're trying to have something quarterly. To do something every month is a little bit overkill. But we're learning, and Val thinks of these things in the middle of the night. I don't think she sleeps. But so far they've been pretty good. Pretty good. She's got some more crazy things, some in her head, so just hold on, because so far they've all worked. The next one is overnight stays in the haunted house with pizza delivery. And for those of you who are never going in there, we'll think of something for you. But that brings a lot of out-of-town people in that spend money. And what did we do? Oh, we did high tea at Christmas time. And because I'm a business owner, well, I also coordinated the tea. But I had people in my store before and after the tea that I know because I was at the tea and I was there before and after. So even some of these functions are bringing people to town, and so we've had a good time doing it so far. So anything else, Val?
Can I ask,
Yeah.
What is the difference between the chamber and the downtown?
Oh, good question for Val.
I can answer that.
Okay,
Good. I can answer that. The actual difference is that the Downtown Association is the nonprofit side of things. So they can actually, they're a 501c3, they can actually take donations. The chamber is a 501c6. So you cannot get tax credit. Yes.
The downtown cares about what the downtown looks like,
Yes.
and it's appealing,
is like the structure.
And they only go a certain amount, like from one street to another, it's only the downtown corridor. And our big push for that is getting businesses downtown. So like right now, Carmen, I'm working with Carmen on a few different things, and we're actually trying to get people to buy some of the buildings downtown and open businesses downtown. So that's kind of what we do compared to bringing people to town to shop. So we want to get those business owners down there. So that leads into this. The Downtown Association has actually been accepted as a Main Street program for the state of Washington. There's only 32 towns that have been picked, and we're the only one on this side of Eastern Washington. Dayton is probably our closest, I think. And so this is huge, especially when you talk about the tax incentive program. And if you want to take one and just pass it down, we've got our new brochures. This actually is huge for Colfax. This is how we can get money to stay in our community. So it's through B&O taxes. People can donate directly to the Downtown Association, and they have to do it online through the Main Street program. They actually pledge, but the money actually stays in Colfax. We can get up to $133,000 worth of donations every year, and it caps out at that. 1.5 million, it caps out at 1.5 million at the state level. So we need to get our donations in right away. That money will stay in Colfax, and the Downtown Association is working on right now what the money will be used for, and it will be used for storefront grants. So it'll be kind of like a matching program. So if you want $2,500 from this money, you would have to match $2,500, and it would help improve the front of your store, especially if it has historical value. We're also going to do a tenant improvement program. So you can use that pretty much any way you want in your business, and we'll match that too. And it has to be in that downtown area. So
Are those loan programs? So
it'll be a grant program. So if you pitch in $2,500, they don't have to pay it back.
You can do both.
If you pitch in $2,500, you would fill out an application, and we would give you $2,500. And so it's going to be a great program because it will stay in that downtown area, that downtown corridor. And we actually meet with our coordinator. She comes on Friday. So we'll know a lot more once we meet with her on what we can do and what we can't do. But this is a great program. This is a way that your money as a tax, if you have large B&O taxes, we're going to come talk to you about this so that you get in our list and get in the pool, because the money you will automatically get credit. So if you give $1,000, $750 will stay in your community, which is huge.
And just want to add, I'm not a financial person at all, but when Al read about it and understood it, he said, this is almost like getting money back.
Yeah.
He felt like he was making money.
What-
So it's
That's exactly right. It is like you're making money.
What happens is if you make a $1,000 donation,
Yeah.
after you register online that you're going to do it,
Right.
and then you write a $1,000 check from your business to the CDA,
Mm-hmm.
you get a 75% credit
Right.
for your B&O taxes the following year
Mm-hmm.
that you will not have to pay. It'll show up as a credit. And then if you take as a business your tax donation or tax deductions for donations to a nonprofit, you get the full value of that too. So you would get a $250 donation, 25% credit. So you would basically get credit for all that money that you donated without actually losing any money yourself, because you've gotten the 75% tax credit and the 25% donation to a nonprofit. But it stays here.
Yeah.
You're paying it anyway, it's just
You-
some of
yes,
it-
and you're paying it a year in
It stays
advance.
in our community. It's
You
like,
have to pay it
we
in
don't have to
advance
pay.
is the key to it.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'll be, Kim DeHart and I will be going out and talking to some people about, if they want to donate and give through this program. And so it's, like I said, January 1st was when we got accepted, and so we're new to it, and we joined like Kennewick and Dayton and some of
Coach
the.
Place.
Yeah, I think Port Townsend's in there too, Port Angeles. So it is really a big deal. And I have to thank Christy and Larkin and Steve, sorry Larkin, Shatter, for actually, they're the ones who thought of it a long time ago to even start the Downtown Association to get us to this point. So it just didn't happen overnight. Sure, I was the one that got the glory, but I just came in at the end and filled out the
Finished it
paperwork.
off.
I finished it off, but
And I was in the
they
middle, I
did,
can't take
they
credit
did all
either.
the
Yeah.
background of actually looking ahead and saying Colfax can do this. And it's been like a 10-year process, but we had to have that 10-year process to get here. We had to have committees in place. We had to have everything, you know, that followed their guidelines to get us here.
You had to have a downtown association.
Yeah, and they have strict things that you have to do, and that group did that. So I have to thank them because I came in and woo, here we are.
Kim is special.
Yes, and Kim DeHart,
Yeah.
she's done a great job, and Mike
Yeah.
from the city. All of those guys have just done a great job, but it paid off. So it was 10 years of hard work, but it paid off, and now here we are. So I just wanted you guys to see that, and you'll hear more about it, you know, over the next year, and we're going.
Our actual chamber meeting is next Thursday at the Perkins House.
Perkins House, if you want to come.
So if you want to come see the Perkins House, see, does it Mr.
6 p.m.
Perkins?
6 p.m.
There have been Mr. Perkins sightings.
So 6 p.m.
My bug.
A lot of
A lot of
bugs.
bugs. What?
But the meetings you're talking about, but that's nighttime, and
Yes.
then this one, are
Is
you
the
still
luncheon.
having every month? the
We're gonna do it
daytime?
like every other month.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think our next one will be the state of the city. We'll have Todd speak at the next one. Yeah. Todd
So
speak.
we kind of felt that it was a little overkill every month. We were running out of important things, but we also wanted to change it up that our meeting was letting you know what's going on. That we have important speakers, but sometimes our most important thing is to let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think that unless anybody has any questions or great epiphanies or something.
Go poop down in the back of my chair again.
I did. I was in the parade with Billy. If everybody saw me, I was in the parade.
We're gonna do it again.
Saw your
picture in the paper.
We're doing it again, Billy.
Before you go, I have an informal survey going over on that table over there by the pins. It'll take you like 90 seconds to do, if you wouldn't mind doing it, if you've got time. It's not a matter of life and death, but I'm trying to come up with something, trying to figure out our advertising. That would help me.
Nancy, can I just make a
Yes.
couple quick announcements? With Friends of Hospice, we have a grief support group that's starting here in Colfax. It's at the hospital. We love being there in the reflection room downstairs. And it's every Tuesday, March and April. And we would welcome folks to come. It's on our website, and we'll leave some at the hospital as well. It will be in the Gazette. And then we're doing some advanced care planning programs through Act 2 at the library. We love partnering with the library. And so you'll see that notices coming out as well. So some nice things to do right here.
Anybody else have anything to share?
I know this is, a small town, most people know everybody. Can we just do a quick introduction?
Oh,
I'm newer to the
yes.
community.
That's great. Look at, I know everyone. Oh, my God.
And where are you from?
Okay, Shan Kelly, Kincaid Real Estate.
Kay Rebold, Washington Federal Bank.
I'm Caleb Cox with the Best Western, Cleveland Inn.
Jerry Pugh, Colfax School District.
Carmen Brunier, Team Washington Real Estate. Tammy Lewis, Team Washington Real Estate, and Police Care Network Board.
Valerie?
I'm Billy.
Jared Bashir, Skaterbug Instructions.
I'm Steve Larkin, I work for the city.
Annie Fillers, Friends of Hospice.
Lori Browning for the hospital. Taylor Johnson, the American Cancer Society.
And Marshall Doak from Clarkson office, first week.
I'm Nancy Cochran, Penthouse Chicks.
Thank you for saying that, Kayla.
I guess you could
It's obvious.
head out to your business.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes.
Yes.